Hello everyone, and welcome to the 10th episode of the Edwards 2 Degree podcast. I'm your host today, Jasmine. I'm a degree apprentice and I'm doing electrical engineering. So I'll just introduce everyone else, or everyone can introduce themselves. So Charlie.
Hi, I'm Charlie. I'm a software engineering degree apprentice.
Hi, I'm Charles Stringer. I am an NPI engineer at Eastbourne.
Hi, I'm Joe. I'm an electronics engineer apprentice on my second year.
Hi, I'm Stephen. I'm a senior test support engineer at Eastbourne.
So the topic that we're going to be talking about today is mentors. You might have noticed we have two new faces, Charles and Stephen, who haven't been in an episode before. So they are mentors. So I guess my first question for you is, what exactly is a mentor and what does that involve?
Well, the mentor is someone that's you get assigned a particular mentee or apprentice, and they're more of a pastoral role. So rather than being the manager of the apprentice, it's usually someone ideally in the same department, or certainly who's been in the company for a little while, and it's basically someone who can then kind of sort of guide the mentee, the apprentice, somebody that the apprentice can come to for some support, whether that's with a work activity or with something, just in general, really.
Charles, have you got anything to add to that?
Yeah. So when you asked this question, and then I had to think about it. Charlie's slightly different because he's had a fair bit of real world work experience before he became an apprentice. But often you'll have people who have never actually been in a work environment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have procedures, we have HR procedures to cover all the things on how to work for Edwards in terms of the formal stuff, but we don't have anything that covers the soft issues, like what's the expectations around everything from we can formalize break times, but how do I approach somebody if I need to take some time off, or things like that, all the soft stuff that is you can't really document.
Okay, nice. So I wanted to ask a specific question to you, Charles, because as Stephen mentioned, most of the time a mentor will be in the same department as a mentee. Obviously, that makes it a bit easier. But Charles is a kind of standalone example where his mentee, Charlie, is not in the same department as him. So how do you kind of find that? Do you find that your relationship is weaker or stronger, or, how do you find that?
Okay, so I work in new product introduction, and Charlotte's in software. So the NPI uses software. So in some cases, there's, from my point of view, there's a small understanding of the skill base involved, but primarily from a customer point of view. So we're not alongside each other day by day as if you were working in the same department. Although Charlie did spend his 6 weeks rotation basically working with me when he was in department. So the answer is I've done both roles, as a remote mentor, but also working alongside it. Generally, the mentor role with Charlie has been a really light touch. Charlie is very confident, has a lot of skills that he brings to the workplace, and therefore the number of times that he's needed to approach me has been very, very few. So it's worked fine. For the first probably 6 months, we'd have a weekly just sit down on a Friday, usually over breakfast, and catch up that way. But no, I don't think it's been a hindrance, and in some ways it's been good because our relationship hasn't been cluttered by work.
Yeah.
I've got to say, I get along with Charles as well quite well. Like he says, we have a natter over breakfast or something, wearing our aprons. But I think that Charles also just actually has a good understanding of software, just as good as I do. You've got a lot of experience there. You talk about some of the niche software like small talk and that, so you get into some kind of interesting discussions about the funny side of software. I remember that from ages ago, blowing my mind. But again, Charles's experience with working in the company is what's been really helpful. When I needed to find people to give me a lift in, like when my car's in the mechanic and that, that doesn't necessarily relate to the subject I study or work on that relates to Charles just being a really knowledgeable guy, people in the company being able to help me out there. So that's what's worked for me with that.
Nice. Well, that follows on quite nicely into the next question, which is asking the mentees, I suppose including myself, has having a mentor been helpful to you? Are there any anecdotes that you want to share where you've absolutely needed, someone to help and your mentor's been there for you?
Like, if my car's been in the mechanic or I've had just a question about managing my workload, I have asked Charles before, and it's been so helpful to have someone that knows who in the company lives near me. You don't know anyone, especially in your first few weeks, and it's like, who do I even go to?
Yeah, I guess for me, the whole role for me in its entirety, I was very beginner. I didn't know much about anything within hardware, code, electronics, the whole shebang really. And I've really needed Stephen to help guide me through that basic level of things. And yeah, without that, I don't know how I would have coped, to be honest. But no, yeah, it's been really helpful, and I've learned so much so quickly in such a short time. And yeah, it's been great to have that support, and yeah, just to have someone around to ask any little thing really has been really helpful. Makes you feel more comfortable in the workplace as well.
And even I've got my own mentor, Ilba, who's not in the call, but even in my early days when I started in test engineering, which is where Stephen and Joe work, Stephen was, Stephen's not even my mentor, but he was very helpful to me as well. I learned a lot from him during my time in test support. So I keep getting tech support and test engineering mixed up when I was in test engineering. So yeah, definitely, I think they are very helpful. And I think just commenting on something that you said, Charles, earlier about how your your talk, with Charlie doesn't get overloaded with work talk. I definitely understand that, because my mentor, he doesn't work in the same department, but he works, he's also an electronic engineer. And we do often end up talking about work, but I would say that that's not a bad thing for me, because I think I feel the same way as Joe. Like, I feel very intimidated by electronic engineering in general. So having someone who is an expert, who's really good at his job, that can help me sometimes when I'm struggling, and even just to talk to him about what he's doing as well, and see kind of what work I might be doing in the future, if I get to his level, that's really interesting for me.
Yeah, do you find that a disadvantage then, Charlie, not having a software mentor?
You know what? I don't think so. I think it helps definitely that my manager, Brett, is really accommodating for my studies, willing to take the time to help me fit that in around my work as well. So I think between Charles and Brett, I've got a nice balance there between the mentor side and the work-related skill side. That's really, really nice. It works for me quite nicely, and it feels like there's been a lot of thought behind it there as to who I've been assigned as like manager and mentor. I couldn't have asked for it in any better way.
Yeah, I thought as well, I'd just add about how it's not just been work stuff that I've been helped with, like with Stephen. Everyone has had a tough time with COVID and everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And yeah, if I had a tough time for a period of time, it felt like I could come over, bring my issues and problems, and yeah, it's just really nice to let it out to someone, and then realize it's actually nowhere near as bad as you think it is. And how I think like me personally, I got a lot of worries through last year with the COVID and stuff. And it was really nice to have someone that I can bring up these issues with, and then just for someone to listen and just tell me it's going to be okay. It's just been really, really nice.
I think that's one of the key things for sort of the mentor rather than the line manager, is that you are just that someone that the apprentices can feel safe and just go and have a chat with about whatever's on their mind. Really, it's just somebody they can go and talk to, and without fear of repercussions and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So moving on to the next question, which is more geared towards the mentors. What kind of training did you go through in order to become a mentor?
We did a 2-day mentor training course.
Yeah.
Which Ed has put on to get us all singing from the same song sheet, for want of a better word, to align our thoughts. One of the most interesting things on that for me was the difference between coaching and mentoring.
The sort of short version is a mentor is kind of more geared for sort of giving advice and sort of telling sort of thing. So it's so if you looked at it from, say, like a work example, if you're stuck on a particular problem, down the mentor end, you'd be more sort of telling you the answer or going, "Oh, do it this way," such and such. Whereas when you move to coaching, is kind of where you want to be by the time you guys are at the end of your apprenticeships, and you're a lot more sort of self-sufficient and stuff. And so then it's more of a sort of listening skills role, and you basically just facilitate you guys working through the problems yourselves. So rather than us give you the answers, you basically do the legwork as it were, and we just sort of sit there and listen. Bit, I suppose, almost like when people go and see a psychiatrist and on the TV, and they're all sat down and they go, so how does that make you feel? So, why do you think this? And as the patient's actually doing the work themselves and just sort of working through it. It's that sort of skill set, as opposed to just going, right, in my experience, I would do X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
Basically, other than the sort of difference of mentors and coaches, the other sort of things that really focused on were different, basically the tools for us to use in order to be good mentors. So things about particular learning styles. Because you've got things like visual learning, audio, and all that sort of stuff, and how you might apply them to help our apprentices if they're struggling with certain things, or various sort of different mentoring skills and sort of frameworks and things they've got. So just basically like a little toolkit of stuff that we can use, really.
And that did that help you guys feel prepared for being a mentor, or were there still some worries after that?
I think so. Definitely felt more confident having had the training. Having not done anything like mentoring before, it was good to have something to fall back on, basically, to sort of refer to and stuff.
We had a great day at the escape rooms.
Oh yeah.
That was so fun.
That's good.
So good.
Nice bit of team building.
Yeah, that was really good.
So when we first started at Edwards in 2019, we had a few weeks of induction, and then at the end of the few weeks, we had a kind of team building day away with our mentors, and we went to Brighton escape rooms. I remember that I was on Charles with the. Do you remember the ruler that was on the wall? Yeah. And I had the ruler and on the wall, and I was trying to figure out for ages. And then Charles came over and he started rotating it, and he was like, "Oh, here we go." And I was like, "Oh my god, I figured it out."
That was a really good exercise in communication, and the fact we're all here says that we did escape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it would be nice to do something with the mentors again, actually, and just it was fun as a group, because we've never really come back as a group like that again. We're all kind of in our separate, departments.
One of the things that for me has been really enjoyable about this, and that day demonstrated it ably, is the freshness and the unencumbered ideas that the apprentices bring to the business. Well, why do you do it that way? And they're great questions, and it's really, really refreshing to have that input. So for me, that's one of the most powerful things that's come out of it.
Charles and I, we worked on a rotation in MPI together, and I remember we had done a value stream mapping of our processes, and there was a thing that we were being held up on. And, I felt like I was free to contribute ideas, and Charles was in that meeting with me and backed me up. And it was really nice to have that, that friendly face in the room to really sort of support me and feel like I was being taken seriously by everyone.
The next question, again, for the mentors is, what inspired you to be a mentor, if anything did, or kind of what drove you towards it?
Well, for
you saw me, and that was it.
Well,
yeah. It was like,
there was like a golden light shining on you.
when I heard about him building his own pressure sensor,
yeah, that's it. Yeah.
No, for me, I actually came up. My career has actually come up via an apprenticeship route at a previous company I worked at. So I'd done a similar sort of thing. Mine was I think it's called an advanced apprenticeship. So it's a one below the one that you guys are doing at the degree level. So I thought, well, having been through a very similar route, I could probably be in a fairly decent place to sort of impart my experiences, as it were, and be able to relate to an apprentice quite well.
Cool. And Charles?
Yeah. So I've been a STEM ambassador for schools for the last 15 years. And I just get such a buzz out of, as I said earlier, the fresh ideas and the unencumbered way of thinking that's out there. So to be there and help somebody from that journey into the workplace sounded great. And it's a scary thing to do, because you go from being an academic environment, from being taught, or at home being told what to do, and all of a sudden you're in this place and you're almost, to a large degree, you're autonomous on an hourly basis. And where is everything? What do I do? So to be able to help with that was very rewarding.
And you have you've done exactly that. You have helped us.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's good that you've emphasised with that experience as well, because it's easy to forget that. All this call, I was sitting here, I was like thinking, what really was it like when I started? And I do remember the day before I started, I had so many questions that were just, thankfully quashed quite soon on.
Can I go to the toilet anytime I like?
Do I raise my hand? What do I do? I do this every time I've got a question.
I mean, sadly, there are people who work in call centres where that is still the case, but
But that's why it's so handy, isn't it? Just to have someone about to, explain that to you.
Yeah.
That was the weirdest thing to get used to, like not having to ask to go to the toilet. Like, even if you're in a meeting, you can just get up and go. Like, it's crazy.
Right.
See you later.
Before you go, Charlie.
Yeah. So what was your kind of first impressions of being a mentor, like when you first met your mentees, and then kind of how do you feel about it now? Have your feelings changed?
I met Charlie for the first time and I was just blown away. This guy just exudes confidence. I thought, have I got a role here? That was my first thought, because Charlie arrives and he's got some savvy about him. He's got some naps, and as he's told me before, he used to work on a building site, and that takes no prisoners. You have to hold your own in that environment. So he's an extremely competent young man, and I felt that initially I was trying to find things to help him with, almost, because he was the full package when he arrived. Going on from that to where we are now, I mean, it's a very light touch, and I like to think that if Charlie had a sort of real horrible problem or something that he was worrying him, whether it be in work or out, that he could come and talk to me, and I feel he would. But it's been a very easy ride as a mentor for these days.
That was very nice of you to say. I was prepared for you to pick up the mic and go, I nearly ended my 2 weeks notice, and what a muppet.
As I said earlier on, I was a bit disappointed it was a mentee and not a manatee.
Looks wise, we're not too far different.
So yeah, passing over to Stephen, what were your kind of first impressions and how are you feeling now?
Initially, a bit of apprehension in terms of the role itself. Just oh God, I'm going to be sort of responsible for an apprentice, wanted to do a good job with it, sort of thing. But yeah, soon built up a very good rapport with Joe. But I think it helped a bit because Joe had worked at Edwards for about a year or so before down the shop floor.
Yeah.
So we kind of at least vaguely knew each other before anyway, so you didn't have to do too much of an initial icebreaker. But yeah, very quickly got up a good sort of working relationship. Yeah, initially I tried to sort of have sort of regular sort of formal meetings and all that sort of thing to try and make sure we're getting proper contact. But then it's a lot more sort of relaxed now, isn't it? We just sort of, because we sit pretty much right next to each other anyway in the office, or working together very closely anyway. So there's a lot more sort of ad hoc as and when questions arise, or Joe wants to know something, we just have a little chat sort of things. That's got quite a nice relaxed sort of working relationship now. It's really good.
Good, cool. All right. Well, that brings us almost to the end. The last question is just about whether you have advice for anyone listening who might be looking to become a mentor.
I'd just say, definitely worth doing. It's very rewarding. You get to see your mentee develop and everything, and get to feel that you've had a hand in helping them along the way. Is very sort of positive thing to be doing.
My comments on being a mentor: do it. Just do it. It is truly rewarding. It's a great chance to meet, as I said, this great branch of vibrant young blood that have come into the company. Yeah, and watching these podcasts, they're just a delight. I love watching them.
Oh, that's so nice to hear.
Yeah.
Have you watched all of them?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god! Wow. That's awesome. Thank you so much for watching.
Right now. I was just going to say thanks to people that are willing to be mentors. I mean, it makes that period of, when you've got that like, oh no, it's that last minute thing. My car's going into the mechanic. How am I going to get into work next week? That makes so much difference. Just having a single point of contact. You're not flicking through the contact books in your emails like, who is the most appropriate person to ask for this? Is this even something I can ask at work? Thinking back on it, I remember immediately, I'll go ask Charles. He jumped at the bit to come and help me. It was brilliant. I loved it.
Fabulous.
So thank you everyone who listened or watched. That was the 10th episode of the Edwards 2 Degree podcast, featuring Charlie, Joe, Charles and Stephen, and myself, Jasmine. And we will see you in the next episode. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Ciao.
Cheers, bye.